Good evening, everyone, and welcome to District's 38 Voice Fusion session on welcoming new members, creating a supportive onboarding experience. Our facilitator tonight is Kris Poole. She is a distinguished Toastmaster and has been a Toastmaster since April of 2005. And she is currently a member of Sheboygan 2021 Toastmasters and Cream City Communicators, both in District 35, which is located in Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. As a seasoned Toastmaster, Kris continues to find new ways to stay actively involved. She is currently holding the officer roles of President, Vice President, Education, and Treasurer between the two clubs. She has held several of the other officer roles, such as Vice President, Public Relations, and Membership. Beyond the club, leadership roles includes the District Administrative Manager, District Secretary, the District Newsletter Editor. She did that for 5.5 terms. The Area Director. She's also been part of the trio as the Club Growth Director, the Program Quality Director, and a District Director, and she is the immediate past District Director for District 35. She is the spring conference chair, and God knows what else she's involved in, but she is very seasoned, and we are delighted to have her with us tonight. Please help me welcome Kris Poole.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. If I remember, I'll make sure that when I see new people jump into our session, that I add the agenda, or not the agenda, but the handout for tonight. Feel free, follow along with the attachment, write your notes, type your notes, whatever you're most comfortable with. I should warn you also in advance, keep yourself off mute for majority of the session because I will be asking for your feedback. This is not Kris Poole is going to sit here and lecture to you. We are going to be building a new member orientation together. So it does require your input, your thoughts, your ideas. Hopefully you have adjusted your screen so you can properly see what I'm sharing and you can see me or put me a little tiny. I'm not that important, but you can hear the sound of my voice. What is important is offering new member orientation for your new members. This cannot be emphasized enough to have some sort of orientation. I want you to imagine you belong to an organization and you only have this very vague idea of what its goals are, what its program is, what is its history, traditions. Would you feel like you belonged? Would you be motivated and committed to helping this organization reach its goals? Of course not. The information that you present during your orientation session, this is what's going to provide that foundation for your new members. It's going to be what helps them to understand how your club functions, what their role is actually going to be, and it gives them a bigger picture and understanding of the organization. When we have new members and they are properly informed, they're going to feel more comfortable with you, with your club, and they're going to become more actively involved in your different club activities right away. A properly oriented member is also one more than likely is going to be sticking around for the years to come. Coming up on 20 years, the plan was to stay for 6 months. I am still here. When you think about your new member orientation, it is not just a one-time thing. It's a series of different activities and information sessions. It is not a one-size-fits-all either. Every club is going to need to adapt all the various dynamics with what their specifics are in their club. Do you want to offer a series of information sessions that are held on specific days of the month or of the year? Do you have just informal, hey, call me up and we can just set up something on our own? Maybe you're going to record part of your orientation Maybe you have officers conduct orientation. Maybe you have a mentor assign and work with that orientation. I don't know how many of you here are club officers tonight, but as a club officer, you do have a responsibility to provide an in-depth informational program that's going to teach your new members about Toastmasters, about your club, how to engage them in your club activities, and welcomes them to your club specifically. When you think about it, some of your club new member orientation, it actually begins before your member joins. I know a lot of the clubs that I visit, when I attend, they explain what those meeting roles are, what skills are developed, what is the purpose behind that role. This is all part of orientation, getting that new member to understand what we are doing. When I would attend meetings in person, we would have a guest walk in the door. Oh, Mary, I'm so glad you're here. Why don't you sit at that table with Jim? Jim knows this is a guest and he is going to be working with Mary through the whole agenda, through the meeting. He can whisper some little updates, what's going on. When we have members joining us virtually or guests joining us virtually, we have time before the meeting and after the meeting to answer their questions. Sometimes we'll open up a breakout room so we can really get into details, or we offer to have that phone call after the meeting. Raise your hand or pop it into the chat. How many of you or how many of your clubs offer a new member orientation right now? This is where you all come off of me and say, our club does.
This is Nikki from.
Oh, Bucks does. Yep, I do that as VPE.
Okay, so we have a couple one-on-ones. I like that. All right, perfect, good.
When
DWE does. All right, not yet. I like that one. Invite to VPE office hours. I like that one. That's kind of a cool option. Let me drop in the handout again to everyone because we have a few new people.
I'll take care of that
here.
for you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So when we start thinking about building our new member orientation, I have kind of an agenda here for us today. I want to take you through a little bit step by step. What are we going to incorporate into that new member orientation? One of the questions that was posed when you registered was talking a little bit about mentoring a new member. And then I want to help you set up that early success for your new members. A lot of the information, if you have seasoned members, ask them to get involved in this whole process or ask them to start attending new member orientation. So they're right on board. They know what your new members know. I know a lot of clubs struggle still with some of their seasoned members that may not be on pathways. They may not understand it. Things have changed over time. This could be a good opportunity to get them up to speed with your new members. We are going to take time for questions as we go through. Feel free to shout out your question, pop it into the chat. If you want to put the question in chat to everyone, and if you want to kind of monitor chat, I'll try and watch for it as well. We'll try to incorporate some of those answers throughout, or if I know that I have it already upcoming in the presentation, we can do that as well. And then I just have a quick tips as a reminder. I am going to show you, or I'll show you just very, very briefly, but I'm going to share with you what I've done at Sheboygan Toastmasters for our new member orientation. And then I have lists of resources for you. All right, so here is where, the fun begins. We have so many different options for our new member orientation. But where do we begin? I've been on a musical movies kick lately. So let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. When we begin to read, we begin with ABC. But when we start planning new member orientation, where do you even begin? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. What are your ideas? What do you think should be included in a new member orientation? So either shout it out, type it into the chat. I'm going to type it in on the screen, and you will get this later on.
I think you should let them know about the meeting roles and the responsibility of the meeting roles and what's expected in those roles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we can also tell them about the Toastmasters International structure, where we are in the big scheme of things.
Let them know that they are part of a community, and as a community, you are successful.
Mm-hmm.
We have things in the chat, Kris, too.
Yep,
Right.
I'm incorporating these. Yep.
We try to get them signed up for their their pathways pass as quick as possible
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and get
Yep.
them working on it. Like
Yep.
pick a date for their first speech.
Oh,
But
I like
it's
that.
interesting you asked for the order because I'm not sure what the right
now,
order is.
right now for the order, I'm not concerned. But just what are all the different ideas of what you could be incorporating in new member orientation?
We teach free toast toast. No, the club website, you got that up there.
Right.
Yep. So that
They
could
walk them
be
through the path, right? Testimonials about others who joined. Oh, yeah, free
They-
toast. It's speakeasy, right? Easy speak,
The new members' personal goals
right?
be listed. I also see listed, they receive a mentor. They receive a mentor.
okay. I see
Someone-
testimonials on why others joined.
Benefits, right? You got that. Benefits of Toastmasters.
I also see introduction to free toast, or I would say
Easy.
easy speak.
Right, that's
Yep.
up there.
Is it speak
I don't
easy
think-
or easy
Oh,
speak?
there it is.
Easy
Okay.
speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see it. Toastmasters promise, I see listed on the chat.
Yep.
Yes. and
That.
Got that.
Who the
Who the
officers are. That's a very
officers
good
are.
point, Bonnie. Yes. Introduce them to who the officers are and who can support them with questions. Meeting times. Consistent, let them know the consistent meeting times of the club.
Wow, what a great list.
Exactly. And so this is where we're going to stop on this one. Meeting roles, we have that one very first thing. There is so much that you can do that this is why it's not just a one night, 1 hour, one session. Because when you try and shove all this information into their head, it's not going to stick around. And that is one of the things that I have had to learn, not to push so fast, so hard. So I'll tell you my story in a minute here. Here's another question for you. Who should be involved with your new member orientation?
All the officers.
It would be nice if all the officers were involved, but that doesn't happen.
Okay.
We have our
mentor.
club.
Your mentor,
Okay.
We
The new
we
member?
ask club members to present as well. We give them an opportunity to present, do a part
Ooh.
of the presentation. Mhm.
I like that. Who was saying that?
Kelly. from,
Kelly. Oh, I
Delivered.
like that, Kelly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. So I do like
Ah.
that.
That's a new idea. I really like that idea.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And now my next question, where do you find resources for your new member orientation? For how or where you want to organize it, how you're going to put it on. Where do you find your resources?
Toastmasters.org has a new
Yeah.
member orientation slide presentation that you can adapt to your club. They have tons of resources, like the meeting roles, the scripts for the meeting roles are there under meeting roles. They also have an excellent video on how a Toastmaster meeting works. It's called Toastmasters Experience. But then you can go to other districts. Yes, District 38 has a lot of information, but then you check out other districts. You Google different districts and see what they have.
Your club charter.
Yes.
Club charter?
Yes, because in that club charter, that is where you specify your club dues. It specifies your
right.
term for your officers. It specifies like honorary members, your how
That's right.
often you meet, things like that.
Oh, I like the welcome letter too.
Yep.
Well, this-
Also, some clubs do there's a script for member induction. And that's becoming popular now, whereas before it was frowned upon, like you were part of a cult or something. And we're finally getting over that misconception of who we are. And more clubs are doing the member induction, so members are aware of their responsibilities.
Pins and badges.
Yeah,
The Toastmasters promise.
yes.
There's a variety of times that this information is given out, though. To call it all new member orientation, like our agenda has all the officer roles, has the dates and times of our meetings, has information on the back with web links. So a lot of that's kind of knocked out at the beginning. And when they get a welcome letter, it gives them the link to the meeting roles. It gives them the website links, gives them a couple different videos they can watch, gives them the pathways link and videos. So
That's good to have because some
Yeah,
people
it's-
just do a welcome message and don't include the links. So I like that detail, Marianne, that you're providing, that you provide links to different things in the welcome email. I think that's very important.
About, not that I've ever used this, a welcome phone call, like a live voice. Just like churches do it. After you join, somebody reaches out to you and says, thanks for visiting, or
All right. So I think we've got a really fantastic list of the different things that could be included into your new member orientation. Who can be involved in organizing, participating, putting on your new member orientation, as well as where do you start to go to find some of these resources? I'm going to take you through a little bit now, step by step. We're going to be incorporating pretty much everything that you all mentioned here today. And I might be throwing out a few other ideas for you as well. So we talked a little bit about that welcoming that new member. So we had the welcome message from the TI president, but what about that welcome email or that welcome phone call from your specific officers? Your welcome packet. This could include club leadership handbook. That's kind of an optional one. You may not necessarily want to include the leadership handbook right away, unless if that person has already mentioned that they are interested in club leadership. But you can always have that available to share at a later time. Pathways information, huge. Our education curriculum, our whole program. This is going to be the essence of what you want to share. You have that information on your meeting roles. So there are numerous resources out on the TI website. There's somewhere it is separate pages and links. You also have the handout, A Toastmaster Wears Many Hats. I will frequently give that resource, A Toastmaster Wears Many Hats, with the instruction that this is not a wonderful file for you to sit and read as you go to bed and memorize everything. But this is a resource that when you are signing up and you are holding a role for the first time, or you're holding a role and you haven't held it in months and months and you forgot how to hold that role, that's when that resource, a Toastmaster Wears Many Hats, comes in wonderful, because this is how it's going to help you prepare for the role, what you do during the role, and is there anything that you have to do after the meeting or after that role is done. Some clubs will actually create a new member handbook. So they'll take a lot of the information directly from Toastmaster Wears Many Hats, but then add in their customization for what they do at their club. So at my Sheboygan Club, when we meet in person, we have folders for the timer, odd counter, grammarian, general evaluator. We have template forms. We've got blank forms of what we want each of those roles to capture. So now the person doesn't have to try and think, okay, I'm general evaluator. What should I do? I don't know. I can't be general evaluator because I don't know what to do. Well, here, you've got a template, boom, boom, boom. These are the things that you want to pay attention to during the meeting. Write down your notes. Maybe you don't say everything you wrote in your report out, but now you can summarize it and share the information. After the meeting, the completed form goes back into the folder. We keep that then, and at the end of every year, we pull all 24 of those sheets out, and then we can staple it and save it if we want. Same thing for our timer and our counter grammarian reports. In the welcome packet, here's one of those options for you to decide. Is it digital? Is it a hard copy? My one club, we meet hybrid, so we have a lot of people who come in person, but we still provide most of our information in digital format. So again, different options to think about of what's going to be specific for your club. When we start thinking about the club officer involvement, I had the comment before, you would love to have all of your officers involved in this option. And there's one club down in the Milwaukee area in my district. Every single club officer has a touch point with a new member. So when the member comes to visit, the VP of membership talks and works with them. When the member joins, we get the application and the money, and then that goes for the treasurer. The treasurer then sends an email to all the rest of the officers
not hearing you,
confirming
listen.
and welcoming that new member to the club. That prompts the VP of PR to reach out to the new member. Let's get a quick little bio. Let's get a photo. Let's get the photo release and video release signed. And I'm going to put something out on the club website, out on our club social media, something to that effect. Our VP of education will sit down and start to schedule. When do we want to meet one-on-one? When do we want to assign that mentor? So they're starting to do a little bit of that new member orientation. The secretary reaches out because the secretary downloads the club roster when we get a new member. So then they send out an updated club roster to the members, welcoming that new member and encouraging the member reach out to your speaker and the evaluators so that you can prepare for your roles better in the future. Give them a call, send them an email. And then the president has a welcome email that they send. It's just very nice and easy. And the sergeant at arms, when the new member comes into the meeting, kind of goes over the layout and flow of that meeting. Every officer has that touch point and they're involved somehow with that new member. Assigning a mentor. How many of you have a formal mentor program within your club?
We do have a formal mentor program. This is delivered with excellence, Toastmasters Club.
Okay. All right. Eleanor, I wish we did. Yes. All right.
Mhm.
How many of you personally have completed the Pathways Mentor Program? Got a
I'm
couple
going through it
hands.
now.
Okay, so for those of you not familiar with it, the Pathways Mentor Program, you mentor a new member for, I believe it's like 6 months, kind of through the first two paths, about 6 months. And then you also have to mentor a seasoned member. So maybe it is somebody who is taking on a district leadership role. So I am mentoring two different area directors right now because they are taking on that role for the first time. I've held the role, I've held the other district roles. So that is my mentor and advanced member. Maybe you have a member that have been a part of the club for a while and they are just deciding, I want to start to compete. And now you can mentor them through that contest process and work with them on their speech. When you get to that Pathways Mentor option, their materials, their planning materials are wonderful resources as well. If you have been in free Toast Host and you have the mentoring option activated there, your current members can log in and mark if they would be open to being assigned a new mentee. When your new member gets logged into your club website, they can mark, I want a mentor. Frequently, how my Sheboygan Club and Cream City Club works, when the member comes in, they start with a relationship, boom, right away with someone. That's kind of how we develop and choose who that mentor is going to be for that new member, because they found someone that they already have a connection with, or they found someone they don't have a connection with. Because if there is no connection, they're not going to get anything out of that mentor relationship. So we will try and pair people up who can work well together. I will be talking more about mentors later on. Question, we're an online club. What's the best way to assign a mentor when you don't know that much about the new member? Good question, Eleanor. So when you have a new member coming in, do you have them complete that new member profile or that interest survey? You want to find out, what are their goals? Why did they join your club? Well, I'm already a pretty good speaker, but I am joining your club because your focus is on evaluations. So you've never heard me, you don't know what my background is, but I want to learn about evaluations. So just knowing that, all right, who in our club, likes to work more with the evaluations, that they might be a good match for this person. If you have someone, well, my boss says I should probably join this club because I can't talk in front of people. You probably want someone who is going to be extra compassionate with that new person who is that afraid to get up and speak. And sometimes then you can go through multiple people to be a mentor, because sometimes it's not always that right fit. And there's nothing wrong with, firing a person from your mentor, because if they're not learning and growing in that relationship, why are you continuing with it? So sometimes it's just, you have to ask some of those questions. What are they looking to get out of their membership? What type of person would they want as a mentor? Some people want a mentor who's going to push them really hard outside their comfort zone. Others want someone who can do a little bit more hand holding with baby steps. So you want to find that right match. All right. Thank you. You're welcome. Next, different parts of that new member orientation. So we touched on pretty much all of these. You want to give that overview of Toastmasters history. very brief, the new member orientation PowerPoint that Ann mentioned before. That gives a lot of that information. It's all done, ready, set to go. So providing that background of Toastmasters, and part of it too, what is the mission of Toastmasters? Toastmasters International, district if you want to throw in, and that club mission statement. The Toastmasters Club mission statement. I've been a part of, I haven't joined the clubs, but I've attended, and quite a few clubs make their own additional specific club mission statement. So then that would want to be incorporated into your new member orientation. Talking about your club structure. What are the roles of your different officers? When or why would you go to different officers? And what are their functions during a club meeting? What are those functions of, and this ties in the club structure kind of along with meeting roles and responsibilities. How you can learn from the seasoned members and how they can help you through that club meeting. When you start talking about pathways, it's our learning curriculum. Well, now this would be another great way to incorporate your new or your seasoned members. Is everyone up to speed on our new pathways program? We just dropped from 11 paths down to 6. Base camp is changed and I am loving it. Is there, this could be an opportunity for new member orientation, but let's get everyone on the same page, our new members and our seasoned members. We can share our stories. We can share our experiences. I remember with the first pathways, my mentor, she said she entered in a meeting role 7 different times into the screen and it never saved. Because she would enter it in, it's there, she'd go out, come back in, why is it not here? Well, she never scrolled to the bottom of the page to click the save button. Lessons learned. And now with the new system, it's so much easier actually. And it saves when you hold a meeting role, multiple dates for each role. I love that. I really am enjoying base camp now. I didn't mind it before, but I'm loving the new base camp. Talk about, because I remember this was one of the questions that was submitted also, that can you, I would say, force a member to sign up for a path? Can we just make them sign up for a path? Maybe just presentation mastery. That answer is no. You cannot force anyone to sign up for a path. Choose a specific path. You cannot make them do the path. But the question comes in, why did you join Toastmasters if you don't want to follow the education program? When you join as a new member, you get one path. That is part of your fee. And you still have the option. You can take a question and answer assessment, and it guides and walks you through what is your purpose for joining Toastmasters. And based on your answers, it will recommend the top 3 options out of those 6 paths. Then the new member can choose, yep, I want one of these 3, or they can choose one of those other ones as well. My very first time taking that assessment, I thought going into it, I'm just going to take presentation mastery. Going to be easy. I want easy my first time doing this with the transition. But then I took the assessment and the top suggestion was the visionary communication. I'm going into the trio. I'm going into club growth leadership. I should take visionary communication. I should follow my own advice, push myself out of my comfort zone. And I took visionary communication. At that time, because I belonged to multiple clubs, I got a second path for free. So I did take presentation mastery. So I had one easy one, but then I had one that challenged me. I have completed all 11 paths just this past year. I have completed a total of 17 paths because I have repeated paths multiple times. When pathways came out, There were 3 paths I did not want to take at all because the HPL, that high performance leadership, was a required required project. Those are my last 3 paths because I did not want to do that. So when you talk about pathways, sometimes it is about sharing some of those stories behind why you specifically took a path, what you are learning as you go throughout, how you can find some of those topics to talk about. And again, this can be both from the mentor, could be coming from your club officers. That could be a meeting theme. New member orientation, it's not just a one-time thing. Thank you, Leslie. Talking about those meeting roles and responsibilities. Online, Toastmaster wears many hats. I love when the focus isn't on what we are doing. All right, as timer, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to time how long your speeches are, and when you hit a certain time on my watch, I'm going to change my backgrounds. Yeah, that's the purpose. We want to help people stay on track, but I love when we really focus on, we time ourselves because we need time management. We need to know, do we need to edit out our content so we're staying within time? Do we need to add new information or add more content to a presentation to extend and hit that minimum mark? We try to get new members to sign up for their path when they're on orientation. Love it. I love it. Hopefully at the end of the session, everyone copies the chat, gets some different ideas from everyone else that way too. One of the other parts when you're talking about the meeting roles and responsibilities, what are your skills learned? But how does what you learn inside Toastmasters apply to what you do outside of Toastmasters? So the meeting agendas, putting an agenda together. I need my agendas. I want to stay on target. I am flexible enough. Okay, we need to switch things around. We need flip flop. I want to start on time. I want to end on time. I know my speeches go over because I'm a DTM, don't time me. But then I go to a work meeting. Oh my goodness, these people need Toastmasters to understand time management, how to effectively run a meeting, how to put together an agenda. Just because you don't value anyone else's time doesn't mean that our time should not be respected. So how you can use the different aspects of what you're learning in Toastmasters. If you can share some of those examples, people can understand it quicker and easier. Another section in terms of that orientation, talking about the feedback, the importance of those evaluations, because it's the evaluations a speaker receives that is going to help them make improvements as a presenter. It's not meant to put anyone down, but to open up their awareness of those areas for improvement. It's not picking on people. It should not be picking on people. And part of the feedback, also that purpose, you need to communicate between the speaker and the evaluator if there's something specific that you want to learn. Because if I'm the speaker, this is my very first speech, I want my evaluator to know I am scared to death. I'm going to pass out. I'm going to fall down. I'm going to hit my head because the last time I gave a speech in front of a group of people, I fainted. That's why I am here, but I don't want to speak because I know that's going to happen again. When I have someone that is that afraid, you can see them shaking in their seat because they know they're coming up next. I have offered to them, do you want, and we've even practiced it over the phone together. Do you want me to come up and stand or sit next to you so that you know you can just reach out and touch my shoulder and know that I am there for you? I have asked them in it. And they have said no, but they want me up close so that they can make the eye contact with me. But had we not talked, I wouldn't have been able to help them. Give them their feedback based on the level they are. Someone brand new, you're not going to give them type of feedback to challenge themselves that you would to someone who's been speaking for 10, 15 years. You adjust your feedback. All right, next, talking about your club structure, your social integration. How do you get all done? What is it about your unique club? We all have our own cultures. Yes, every club has prepared speakers. We have evaluations. We have table topics, but your order is all mixed up. Do you have business conducted at the beginning of the meeting, at the end of a meeting? Does it outside the meeting completely? How do you go through that? What are your expectations of your members in terms of punctuality, participation in meeting, attendance? Do you highlight any of the social events that you have going on? This past weekend, we did a vision board activity. We had 5 of the members, we got together at one person's house. It was a potluck. We had about 125 different magazines. We had about 50 colors and shapes and sizes of poster boards, and we all made vision boards, and then we all gave speeches on our vision board. Group activity on a Sunday afternoon. How often do you do something social, and how can that new member get involved in it? Does a group of you after your club meeting, do you go out to the Culvers and go have ice cream together? Or do you go down to the bar and have a drink? Our club, Cream City, we were in a church, so we were a block away from a bar. 4 or 5 of the members after every meeting would go over and just get a drink real quick and just have a little bit of fun. Other clubs, they normally have about 10 of their members. They go to Culver's and have an ice cream sundae once a month after a meeting. How does that new member get involved? Fostering engagement with those new members. Start talking about, and hopefully you have some fun themed meetings. You have table topics. You have your own little club contests. Maybe you have joint meetings with other clubs. Getting them to understand those different ways that they can become engaged in the club, that helps them become part of your Toastmasters community, part of your family. And hopefully then they know that they are being supported and that they should be helping to support the other members. All right, we talked about most of these in the ideas that you shared before, the tools and technology. Definitely the Toastmasters International website, definitely your own club website, and your social media. I don't know if social media was actually mentioned. Give them a brief overview of a walkthrough on the TI website, not just focused on pathways and Basecamp, but where and what else can they find on that website? When you talk about your club website, how do they get logged in? How do they sign up for a meeting role? How do they download files? Share in chat, what does your club, what social activities do you do outside the meetings and how often? I love that. Thank you, Ann. Meeting technology. This could be for both in-person and virtual meetings. So if you're a virtual club, do you use Google Hangouts? Do you use Teams? Do you use Zoom? Do you use something else? How do you get logged in? How do you access it? Oh my gosh, I forgot what the link is to get to my Zoom website. Oh yeah, it's always on the front page of the club website. How do I get to the club website? What's our club website name? Share that information with them. If you post out on social media, do they know how to get to it? Get to your Facebook, get to your LinkedIn, your Instagram, whatever social media that you use. If you are meeting in person or hybrid, you know how to connect in the room. If they are going to give a presentation, do they have to bring their own laptop, their own projector, or does the club or the venue provide that for them? Is Wi-Fi available or not? Different answers for each club, obviously, but share that with your members. And this is, I'm going to say, an unusual one, the last one, membership management systems. This might be a little bit higher level for a newer member, but at some point they're going to need to know about it. How do you keep track of your dues, your membership renewals? Who is adding that new member to your free Toast Host membership management? How do you set up that new member welcome on the free Toast Host? So some of these ideas may not be specifically for that new member, but it triggers the information and ideas of somebody, a club officer has to do some work to get it set up. The advanced engagement opportunities. I know that in the Toastmasters new member orientation PowerPoint, they talk a lot about the leadership roles at the club level and even going beyond. This is one of the topics that could be at the end of orientation or a couple of sessions in, because most people don't join Toastmasters, oh, I'm going to be a club officer. It comes down the line a little bit once they see how the members are interacting, once they see what those officers do. So you can briefly let the members know who all of your officers are, which is one of the ideas suggested. But what is the purpose of that officer role? What type of activities are they involved in? What type of skills do they learn? Sharing that type of information could get them interested of, hey, I think I might want to try that. I have one member, we didn't know for a whole year that her job is social media, developing social media posts. She never told anyone. We also never asked. But when we asked for people to step up for that public relations role, that's when she finally, a year later, well, I do PR stuff all the time. That's my whole job. Why haven't you told us this? Would you like to take on this role? Well, I would love to. Why didn't anyone ask me? We didn't know. Have those conversations. You can talk about the area directors, the division directors, the district officers. Again, not necessarily that they want to step into those roles right now, but maybe 1, 2, 3 years down the line, start planting that little seed now. And as they start moving through everything in the club, they can start to see how that could be affected and how it could work for them moving forward and developing later skills then. And then we have our speech contests. Every district has at least one contest, international speech contest. And most districts have at least one other contest. Encourage your new members to participate, whether it's as a contestant or behind the scenes. Be a timer, be a ballot counter. If it's an in-person contest at the area level, why don't you work at the registration table? You get to meet everyone coming in now. And if they're that little social butterfly, perfect role for them. And see how those contests are organized, what happens at a contest. A lot of options when you think about a speech contest beyond just being a contestant. All right. Does anybody need a quick stand break? Stand stretch. Oh, yes. Okay. I was just reading something that you kind of like tap your fingers and you're together and just supposed to have, I don't know, some energy flowing. I don't know. I didn't read the whole article. I just saw the movement. All right. Let's transition now because mentoring was a big part. It came up quite a few times earlier. So in my club, this is for my Sheboygan club, we actually started working on a little bit of a checklist of what a mentor, when the mentor is assigned, what they're going to start to cover with that new member. And I should also kind of put in the caveat, as our VP of education last year, I would meet with the new members and I would go over quite a bit of the information with them. But then the mentor would also go over the same information. The mentor has a different perspective on some of these items. And when that new member hears it a couple of different times, it's going to stick with them more. I am still trying to figure out how to bottle all this knowledge up here, put it in a bottle and hand it to someone. Haven't figured out that technology yet, but maybe someday. So when I was kind of working with my club members and again, doing a bunch of the different research, came up with kind of a step-by-step for about the first 3 or 4 meetings. So your first meeting with that new member, get the copy of that new member's profile and their objectives. What is it that the new member wants to accomplish? Why did they join Toastmasters? Why did they join your club? I know if any visitors come to Cream City, we always encourage them to shop around because different clubs have those different perspectives, different personalities. Sometimes the Wednesday night, it only worked Wednesday night tonight to come to your club, but I wanted to come here because I loved all the pictures on your website. Your club name came up first when I did a search, but Wednesdays don't work for me. We will give them a list. All right, what days, what times work for you? We can rattle off a list of all the other clubs that would better meet their schedule. Or Wednesdays still work, but they don't want to come all the way to the east side of town because they live over on the west side. Well, here's this club found out they meet 2 miles from where you live. Same meeting night, same meeting times. Go check out that club. So we give them those options. But if we didn't know some of this information, we wouldn't be able to give other suggestions. Also, when the mentor's meeting with that new member, what is the current level? What speaking level are they at right now? Are they there because they want to improve their speaking voice for work? Are they there because they are afraid to talk to a certain population? I can't talk to men. I can't talk to women. I can't talk to doctors, but I have to become an advocate for my child and speak up. Some people come in not necessarily to improve speaking skills, but to improve their confidence, their self-esteem. They are buried 6 feet under and they are trying to claw their way out. That can help determine who their mentor could be. What type of relationship do they need to encourage them? We also want to find out how we as their mentor, we as other club officers, other club members, how do we help that new member achieve their goals? If we don't know what their goals are, how do we help them to achieve it? So you have to have the discussion. We already mentioned the club meeting structure. You want to talk about what the different types of meetings that you have. Do you have specific business meetings, just the club meeting? Do you have, for your officer meetings, is everyone invited? Do you have that social meeting? What happens in the order of your meetings? How do we show encouragement at a meeting? We applaud when you're introduced. You applaud as they come up to the lectern or as they leave. What are some of those meeting etiquette tips that happen in your club? Oh, you said word of the day. We're going to give you props. We're going to give you the snaps. What happens in your club that they should become aware of. Whether, in this one too, again, depends on the level of your mentor. How do you get into the TI website? How do you get into our club website? Agree on a basic code of conduct. So if you are meeting with your mentor, your mentee, when are you going to meet? How often? What are you going to do? How do you communicate if you have to cancel or reschedule? Agree on those types of communications ahead of time, because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to get frustrated with the situation. But if both of you are aware of what's going on up front, makes it easier. Second meeting, your mentor, your mentee. This is where you can start going more into the club details. Talk a little bit about the DCP, the club goals that you are trying to earn throughout the year. How do you sign up for that meeting role? How do you sign up for a speech? Encourage them, probably in the first 1 or 2 meetings, be the timer, be an accountant or the grammarian. You're participating, but it's not as intense of a role versus the Toastmaster, general evaluator. Think of, I say, the back of the room roles, where you talk just a little bit, but you're just kind of in the back of the room. You're paying attention to what's going on, just only have to talk a little bit. Or the front of the room, your Toastmaster, general evaluator, your speaker. Table topics master can be kind of both in a way, because they're up there talking for a little bit of time, but the focus is on the table topic speakers. Encourage that new member, sign up and give their icebreaker within your first 3 meetings. If they are afraid to speak, they need to get up and speak. This isn't one of those things, I'm afraid of spiders and heights, you better not push me down into a vat of spiders. That's not going to help me get over this situation. I'm afraid to speak. This is one of those things you just have to do that. Because as you speak, you may hopefully at least get the butterflies to start flying together in formation. You may not eliminate all of the butterflies ever, but you can get them to kind of calm down a little bit. Talk about those club officers, what they can do to help your new members. Some of this, it just seems it's a repetition. You have to reiterate this in order to get that understanding. Toastmasters website. What are the tools and the resources available? How many of you go through the Toastmasters magazine every month? A lot of good articles, a lot of good information in there. And then how do you use Basecamp, and where do you get the tutorials? As I was playing around last night at 11 o'clock at night, I keep changing my mind of how I want to present and what I want to present. And, I should do this. I should do that. I should do this. Squirrels. Wait, wrong presentation. That's Saturday. Came across the file for the ABCs of Toastmasters, all the wonderful acronyms that we use. Great article in here for it. If your mentor works on meetings 3, 4, and beyond, this is where you can start to get into more of that detail on the leadership roles. And it's not just, when I say leadership roles, it's not just officer roles, but each of those meeting roles, the functionary roles, timer, GE, Toastmaster, these are leadership roles within our club setting. You may not be ready to be the VP of PR, but you could be on that committee. Can you, as a committee member for public relations, can you provide articles so that we could post out on social media 3 times a month? Can you give me 15 minutes extra every month to find 3 articles, 3 bits of information for us to put out on our social media? Get them involved in small ways. One of the biggest parts of a mentor, you are going to be helping your mentee prepare their speeches. You could be reviewing their script. If they're typing it out, writing it out, you could review that, give them suggestions for improvement. How can they have maximum impact on their audience? I had one person, we actually did 4 nights of phone calls where just over the whole phone, because he did not want to do Zoom, and he practiced his speeches for me. And I could hear the difference in the changes he made based on the comments that I had given him during those practice ones. And then when he gave the actual presentation in front of the club, it was fantastic. He knocked it out of the park. Sometimes it can be stressful, difficult when you start thinking about what should I be doing as a mentor for this brand new member on their speech. I just do my speeches. I don't think about a lot of it. So this checklist could be beneficial for you. How is the speech script organized? Is there an introduction? Is it interesting? Is it attention grabbing? What's part of the body of that email or the body of the speech? Do they have only 2 or 3 points, or do they start going off on all these different tangents? Is their conclusion memorable? Is it powerful? Is there a call to action? How is the speech organized? Is the speech appropriate for your audience? Is the topic relevant? Is it something that's going to be appealing to your audience? Is the content interesting? Is it informative? Is it entertaining? Is it education? Is it persuading them? Third one here, does the speech meet the project objectives stated in that PATH project? Oops. I know a lot of our seasoned members, they don't look at the material. They don't look at the evaluation form. They just see the title of that project. Focus on the positive. They form their own opinions of what that speech should encompass, but they don't actually follow and meet the project objectives. Encourage your new members, and this could be that opportunity for your seasoned members. Read the project information, make sure that the speech they're giving meets that project objective. When you're reading the speech, can the speech actually be delivered within that target time frame? All right, my icebreaker, I'm 50 years old. I got to put 50 years of information in a 4 to 6 minute speech. It ain't happening. There is no way. What are those top 3 things that I want to make sure that my club members know about me as a new member? You can't give everything at one time. That's why we have all these other follow-up speeches that you can give in your path. Each part of your life can be incorporated into other speeches. When you are checking that presentation of the material, are there grammatical errors, run-on sentences, unwanted extra words? Is it written that when you're reading it, how is it going to sound when it is spoken? Very different. Listen to the speech. Think about the message that's being conveyed when you are an audience member hearing the speech, but also when you're the speaker. How does it sound when you're listening to it? And then just to make sure you give that specific and constructive feedback. You want to encourage them to come back and speak again. You want them to appreciate the things they're already doing well, but you have to give them something for improvement. You want to recommend. You want to give your suggestions. If I were doing this, I would have approached it this way. It's never, you have to do this. You should have done this. But give some other feedback. If your feedback when you're listening to that speaker, if they're reading their speech, because I've seen this, they're giving their speech and their entire face is covered. My feedback is I want to see your eyes and get eye contact. Print your speech 24 point, double spaced. Now you can have your paper down on your lectern. You can still see it, but now I can see your eyes. I can hear your voice. You're able to project. Baby steps for improvement sometimes. This is a whole huge list of some different resources that you can review on your own as you become a mentor for your new mentee. Even more resources for you as a mentor. So these are resources for you to share with your mentee. These are the resources for you as a mentor. And you will be getting this presentation. You'll get all of these wonderful links. All right, where are we on time? We're at 7:36. I've got a half hour here. All right, so now, how do you help your members because you want to get them engaged? You want to keep them engaged. How do you set them up for success right off the bat? How do you show the new member, and you can keep this same type of information? How do you show your current members that you care? So I've got a couple different ideas here for you. With that new member, encourage them to sign up and give that icebreaker. Again, within about 2 or 3 meetings. You want to get them working with the Vice President of Education so that they can get signed up. Show interest. This is going to be coming back, showing interest in your new members. What were their goals? Why did they join Toastmasters? Show interest in the progress that they're making. Maybe you assign badges in base camp for them. You go on to base camp after they've given a speech and give some written feedback for them. Make sure that with your seasoned members, be courteous and caring towards them as well. Be considerate, be kind. I love this one. Be aware of, so you as a current member, and then encourage the new members. Always be aware of what your assigned meeting role is and that you are prepared ahead of time. I get so frustrated when, especially when it's a seasoned member, oh, I'm supposed to be an evaluator tonight, but I can't think, I can't do it, so I'm not going to do it. Well, now I'm down an evaluator. What are we supposed to do? Sometimes it's just, okay, just do the best that you can in that role, even if you aren't fully prepared, but you should be prepared. That goes back to that Toastmasters promise that every member signed when they signed up to be a Toastmaster on that application. I will be prepared to hold my different roles. Evaluation, we talked about evaluating effectively. Be positive and honest, and make sure that you implement careful appraisals and some thoughtful suggestions for improvement. Consider what your project or that person's project objectives are, as well as their learning needs. Give them the feedback, give them specific tips to get better. Don't just say you need to improve your eye contact. How do you improve that eye contact? Well, if you're online, you need to be really focusing on where that camera lens is. Tip that somebody had told me, they actually poke a hole in a piece of paper, and then they put that paper over, and so the camera lens is showing through that hole. That is where their focus is. I have another person then that she puts pictures of all of her kids. So now it looks like she's talking to her kids, and that relaxes her as she's talking to a room full of strangers. Different ideas. Give them those hints of specific feedback. I was doing a speech last year, and as I was preparing for it, reading, and they were talking about how an airplane about 98% of the time, an airplane is off course. And as a passenger, you don't really know this because the pilot is constantly making corrections. They get a little bit off course and they correct and keep going forward. And they just keep doing this every time. It makes these corrections so that it can make the adjustments. We think that we're going in a straight line. That's how we need to think about our new member, our current members when they are giving speeches. When we give them that feedback, that's how they adjust to continue moving forward. Kind of keep that one in mind. A little bit different perspective on giving the speeches and giving feedback. Foster camaraderie. This can go back to those social activities. We want to be warm and friendly because these are our new family members. My clubs, we are very close together. We have that friendship, we have that fellowship. We are excited to support one another. If something is going on in their personal life that affects them in Toastmasters, we want to be aware of it, because that's how we show support for them. If I know that my vice president of education is going in for surgery and he's not going to be able to get to his computer for several weeks, I want to be there so I can support him, send him my prayers and wishes for successful surgery. But now, how can I step in and help him so that all of his duties as this officer are still going to be held, so that he doesn't have to worry about it? That open communication from all of the members, that's what can help foster that camaraderie. And all your members, not just your new members, but start to recognize their achievements. When a member holds a role for the first time, you just rocked being a timer. Here are some areas for improvement. Let's sign you up again. But this is the first time you were able to step up and hold this role. Congratulate your speakers that have been showing particular improvement. That one speaker who can't put down the notes because they are so afraid. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see that you have just started using little note cards. Huge improvement. I'm so proud of the changes and improvements that you've made. You just completed your first speech, your first level, your first path. Acknowledge that verbally. Maybe you take a picture, you post it on social media, send an email, pick up the phone. In base camp, assign those badges. A lot of opportunities to show and recognize achievements. Kind of a new topic, but not really. Here's a quick little new member to-do list. We want to make sure that we have that new member registering for pathways. How are they going to prioritize Toastmasters? It's not that Toastmasters is number one, because you have family, faith, work, maybe you have other outside activities, then you have Toastmasters. Or if you're like me, you have no life, you have a husband, no children, it's an 8 to 5 work. I have no life. Toastmasters is, number 2 for me. How much time are they going to be able to dedicate to Toastmasters? What is the priority? Get them signing up and meeting with their mentor. Work with them, have them sign up for their meeting roles, and get that icebreaker under their belt. Start sharing with them your club website, your district website, and the Toastmasters website. You also want, again, it's a continual process for new members here, encourage them to step out of their comfort zone. They're not going to grow until they get out of their comfort zone. Maybe visit other clubs. Go with them to visit another club. When you visit another club, you are hearing different speakers. You are hearing different feedback. You're seeing how another club operates of, our club doesn't do that, and I'm glad that we don't do that. Or, I think my club, this is so cool. I'm going to tell my officers we should maybe do this in our club. They got that like Toastmasters pin when they joined. Why didn't I get one? You get all these wonderful new ideas when you start going outside your club. Let them explore and bring back those ideas and share them. All the fun. All right. That's majority of my presentation. We're going to open it up. I know that one question that had come up of how do you attract new members to your club? And this is, again, information I just pulled together from my different sources. Make sure that you're running quality meetings. When you have guests coming in and nothing is organized, you are 7 minutes past your start time and you're still trying to figure out who's going to be a speaker, who's going to be your Toastmaster. To me, that is not something I want to be a part of. Versus I come in, hi, Kris, thanks so much for coming today. We've got all our meeting rules filled. Sit back, relax. We have a portion called table topics. Kind of follow along if you want to participate. Great. Every single person knows what they're doing. VIP online. This club just amazed me. The first meeting I think I've attended in 20 years. Absolutely every single person knew exactly what their role was. There was no lag time. It flowed. It went well. Oh my gosh, it was fantastic. Do you look after your visitors? Do you make sure you get their contact information? Do you welcome them when they attend and then forget about them? One of the clubs I used to attend, they had cliques with their members. So a brand new guest would come in. All right, great. Thanks so much for coming in and being our guest. Here's some information about our club. And then they would all go off to their own little tables, and the guest sat by themselves at the back of the room. Nobody would see the guest slink out at the end of the meeting. They didn't ask for any contact information. How is that attracting a new member? And I brought that up to that club, and they did not, when I pointed it out, oh my gosh, we do that, don't we? And after that meeting, different members, they would actually start changing where they would sit because it was like they had assigned seats, and they would always make sure that a guest was seated next to someone. When you do get a new member or that joins and you have your business meeting, your VP of membership should be reporting, we just signed up a brand new member. How does that new member feel where your VP of membership doesn't have anything to report when you just handed them your application and your money? I've seen that one happen. Puts them off. Regular club promotion, I was seeing a couple of posts in there about the social media. What do you talk about? Your online presence and your website. Is your club website up to date? Is your contact information out there? Can the guests figure out how to attend one of your meetings? Or do they have to contact someone to get a link to the meeting, but there is nowhere to contact anyone because the contact us feature is disenabled. There's no other emails, no other names, no meet our members. There's nothing out there. In the club questions, how come we can't get any new members? How come we don't get guests? Updated website, pictures bring people in. Special promotions. Maybe this could be extra flyers that you post at your local cafe. Maybe you write some extra press releases. We have the special, holiday potluck coming up. Bring a dish to pass. We're going to talk about holiday traditions. We are taking monetary donations to give to the Project Angel Hugs program at the church, which is the venue we meet at. We promote that. Speechcraft. Some clubs use Speechcraft to attract new members. I'm going to actually attempt to run Speechcraft for the very first time, probably January timeframe. Never have done it before, but that's one of the challenges I have to put for myself. Again, seasoned member, how do I continue to challenge myself? Some clubs are very successful of using Speechcraft to gain new membership. Others doesn't always work for them. Try it if you haven't done it before. And I think, Anne, you've done a couple programs on Speechcraft, so I don't need to talk anything more. Anne is my resource for Speechcraft. All right, what other questions can I try and answer right now? Participating in youth leadership can help advertise your club to the parents. I like that one. Let's see. We have a segment at the end of each meeting to do recognitions. That is fantastic. Let's see. We pull 5 questions off the profile sheet, paired older members with new members and guests to write out answers and meet in small groups, then report the group in a mini speech. Used all 3 speech slots in our open house. That sounds really cool. Number 1 concern, getting over their nerves. What other questions do you have right now? Or did I, because I think I addressed most of them of what you had in the list yesterday, Anne.
Yes, that's why I asked if they have questions ahead of time, so this way I can give the speaker a heads up as to what the people coming to the meeting are looking for.
Okay.
Oh, there's a new message.
ETS, youth leadership program is looking for mentors. Challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone. It's not just for those new members either.
It starts in January, right, Mary Ann? Starts up in January, runs January through March, I believe.
We're at the first Saturday in January.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna just kind of skip through this information here. So you have that in your sheet. My Sheboygan Toastmasters. What we have done, I love this quote right off the bat. Helen Blanchard, if you have never heard this quote, learn it, live it. If you get out of Toastmasters, all there is to get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. There's always something new. And if you start to get complacent, I'm sorry, that is your own fault. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now. I have the link for our new member orientation, and I've actually recorded. So I've taken that new member orientation presentation from Toastmasters, and I've turned it and expanded it into 3 45-minute presentations. But doing it this way, having it available on video, I have the screenshots available as a download that they can pull also. Now the new member can go through it on their own, and then we schedule one-on-one. And I can use the time then, answer their specific questions. Can I go into more explanation on what you saw? So I don't think I shared the sound, but it just opens up into a the video out on YouTube. And so I don't have the sound going here.
You want to
See,
put the
there's me
link for
right
your
there.
SharePoint, for your YouTube site? Want to put that in chat? So people get an idea, so they can come out
Yep.
and look at it, and then that's a great idea to take that presentation and break it down into parts and present it at different times to the new member, and then let them go through. This way you're not giving them all the information at once because you could lose them. So that is a great
Yep.
idea.
Yeah, so
I
on our
like
new
that
member
idea.
orientation page, so the 2121 Toastmaster. So coming on out here then, it can be exciting, but it is overwhelming. So now part 1, you talk about the history. Part 2 is actually a live demo of Basecamp and Pathways, which I now need to redo with the changes. And then part 3 is really focused on our club. So the different meeting rules, things like that.
I
And
like that
then-
idea.
In addition to the videos, you can go to our public downloads page, and now you can get all the information from new member orientation. I've created the files. How do you log into our club website? Meeting role information. So the templates that I had mentioned that we have for when you are holding timer role or whatever. Overview of those meeting roles, summary of the leadership roles, general information that Toastmasters wears many hats, member interest survey. So I've got all of these out here. We have a couple of our older prior meeting agendas, information on the speech contest, of which that needs to get updated. But the information is there for them. And once they know how to log in and navigate, they can focus more on their time, come back with their specific questions. So we cover a lot of information in these videos. And again, it's overwhelming, but if they
Yes.
can get it and refer back to it when they need, that can be even more beneficial.
Wow.
All right.
And that's really letting them know everything about the club and not just Toastmasters. And it's a way of introducing them into the community. Wow. Let's hear it up for Kris Poole. And that was a lot of information tonight. A lot of
Yes.
information. Thank you so much for sharing. Please come off mute and show your appreciation for a job well done by our presenter, Kris Poole, past district director from District 35. Yay, Kris! Thank
Great
you.
job. Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right. Before you log off, I want you, I have one more assignment for each of you. Get your fingers on your keyboard. I want you to type one takeaway, but do not hit your enter key. Type in what your takeaway is from today, and then I will tell you when to hit enter, and then it looks like a waterfall with all your responses coming in at one time. So type in the chat, what is your takeaway from tonight?
Takeaway. Takeaway.
Okay.
All right. And 3, 2, 1, hit enter.
Oh, it's a new way to do it.
Things are just kind of falling in there. This is the part that makes me really happy here.
Does that sound it?
Resources a drop. Yep. Very cool. And then the other
Would you put-
slides in here, you will have my list of all these different resources, all the different websites that I pulled information, got different ideas from. So yes, you will get all of this wonderful information, including those slides where I got your feedback right away. So I've typed it into the presentation. You will get that as well.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much, Kris.
Wow is the word.
I mean, because this can be dry material and you did an excellent job in keeping the audience attention. And there were some great new ideas in there and some of the things that we needed to be reminded of what we need to do. And maybe some of the things we do, but you gave us ideas to take it a step further than what we do. And you gave us something to think about. And it is very, very helpful. Of course, we're all working to retain our members and to keep our guests as members. And all this is extremely helpful. I cannot thank you enough for coming and doing this for District 38. We so appreciate you so much.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm impressed by the amount of material. I posted in the chat, the amount of material, not just for us, but what you have for us is amazing because of everything you've created. So kudos to you.
Hours went into this, yes.
Toastmasters development.
I said it earlier. I have changed direction on this so many times. Maybe I should just do this. No, I should do that. I'm going to make them create the orientation. You guys are going to create my presentation. And that's what I kind of ended up doing in the beginning. And it just...
You should save each one, and each time you create one, you call it version 1, version 2, version 3.
Mhm.
Okay.
I've done that for my TLI when I do officer breakouts. So I have 3-4 different pages prior from this date, and all the extra different ideas because you have different people, their different experiences and perspectives. It all adds and builds up. I love it. Thank
Carol
you.
Henning has a question. Carol?
I wanted to share, last night, I had my mentee, he gave his icebreaker last meeting. And last night he was a Toastmaster. And he just posted in Facebook, he said, last night was my first opportunity to preside over a Toastmasters meeting and serve as Toastmasters for the evening. I used the gavel for the first time in my life and spent half of the meeting at the podium. My mentor presented me with an award near the end of the proceedings, and I feel sufficiently comfortable to take on this role for future meetings.
Awesome.
That's
Fantastic
nice.
feedback.
Cool.
And then he posted the award, and because he really can't see well at all, he said, I used the magnifier on my iPhone to read the meeting agenda and paperwork pertaining to our speakers. So that was good. I liked it. It was great. He
Nice.
posted that on Facebook today.
Nice.
Get that shared to your club website.
Nathalie,
and
yes.
yes.
Great to see you, Nathalie, from District 81.
I'm checking out. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Leslie.
We will be sending that out once I get the video. I will send out she will email me her handouts, and she didn't put them in the chat, and I will email that to everyone who was in attendance
Yes.
so that you get her handouts.
Thank you.
They are, man, I thought I had a lot of information for speechcraft. Oh my God.
That's why she's a DTM.
That's right.
Times 4.
Yes, times 4.
I have 3 from the
Wow.
traditional program, and I earned my first DTM in Pathways this past year. And I
Fantastic.
think
Yes.
I'm one project away. I have to do another DTM project, and I'll receive my second one.